Recently, I was among friends and we talked about free games on the Epic Game Store. This failure of a platform tries to coerce people into downloading it by offering free games. One of them made me realize I had missed Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and it's there that a thought came upon my mind. Despite its advertising campaign, the game garnered no attention whatsoever. Actually, it was one of the rare games in years to have actual advertising outside maybe the occasional shrieking from the sycophant video game journalists. It's then that I went down the rabbit hole of old video game commercials. I wondered what made those ads so efficient, and within those selected commercials, I identified three things that made them practical and memorable even after all these years. Before not having any advertisement at all, games and the media at large were on a downward spiral, garnering terrible habits. Modern commercials are often extremely short, often being a truncated version of a much longer ad. The ads in question tell you little to nothing about the products and are often highly political. Something close to that for video games would actually be modern E3 trailers. A lot of pre-rendered cutscenes, little to no gameplay, and a myriad of modern messaging. Now, let's identify what used to make the success of advertisement, at least in the context of video games. Old video game commercials can be broken down in three segments. First off, the music. It is not uncommon for ads to feature an artist that was popular at the time. While this may date tremendously the product, music does carry a lot of emotions. The time capsule aspect can also be an advantage. Later on, it can give a distinct style to the product and offer valuable information for future players. Number 2, the setting. Often commercials would almost present themselves as sketches, introducing the world and characters. That would often mean actors in costumes putting themselves into character. It's, however, not limited to that. It could be as simple as having a narrator or a voiceover that relate itself to the work. And number 3, the information. The most important aspect. You want a good sizzle reel. You want to have gameplay and not just cutscenes. If you do have mostly cutscenes, you actually want those to relate to your product. That's another flaw of many modern E3 trailers. Little to no gameplay with little suggestion of playability, tone, or theme. Now let's watch 3 commercials to put all of this into context. Bear with me as a lot of these trailers are old and were not well preserved or upscaled. Think of it as a way to contextualize yourself into the era. To begin with, the 4 ads from the Mega Man Zero series.
Game Boy Advance.
俺を目覚めさせてどうしようって言うんだ。
ゼロから始まる衝撃の新シリーズロックマンゼロ。
カプコン。Game Boy Advance。誰も知らないゼロが目覚めるロックマンゼロ2。カプコン。Game Boy Advance。生きてやるロックマンゼロ3。カプコン。Game Boy Advance。そして全てがゼロになるロックマンゼロ4。カプコン。
The first one responds to all the hallmarks. Specific attention has to be brought to the voiceover of Zero, who asks why he was woken up. It literally tells us what happens in the beginning of the game. The second one incorporates Zero's new ability into the actual scene of the commercial and at the end of the title card. The third one is far shorter but incorporates all aspects. The line "live" is also one full of meaning for this franchise. Arguably not the best of the bunch, but still effective. The last one starts like the others, but becomes more abstract. the gameplay is suddenly wiped away to show an image of Zero dissipating as the line "and all returns to zero" is heard, a foreshadowing to the series' ends. Another one that immediately popped into my mind was the Soul Calibur ad. There's a couple of them, actually, out there, but the one that really struck me is the weapons arm vendor.
The fighter's a right stick, but that sword you're using, pardon my pun, ain't gonna cut it, mate. Toss that dodgy dagger and take on with this.
The wait's over. Soul Calibur 2 finally puts the weapons back in your hands, featuring classic Soul Calibur fighters, new warriors, and over 10 modes of play. And exclusively on the Nintendo GameCube, Link joins the fun.
How about off price?
Soul Calibur 2, rated T for teen.
The vendor in question is selling weapons to Link from The Legend of Zelda, so we have a setting and music from its respective series. It's also a good showcase for the gameplay of the series, but also Link's ability in general. If you're at all curious about how he would play in this setting, then you're served. If you do not care, you still get to see the characters you're more fond of, imagining that you're a Soul Calibur purist. What's more interesting though is that I initially had only seen the Link version. The other ads are tailor-made to showcase Spawn and Heihachi from the Xbox and PS2 versions respectively. Last but not the least, Kingdom Hearts. There's a lot to say about how this franchise used to be more simple. It's a franchise that has confused convoluted and complicated with good and intelligent. The commercials used to be more simple, but nonetheless efficient. The trailer has the flaw of being mostly a collection of cutscenes, but it showcases the main feature of the franchise, which is mostly the fusion of the Disney and Square Enix brand. It's intriguing nonetheless. The voiceover at the end, the iconic yet somewhat forgotten "you never know who you will run into," perfectly sets the mood. It signals the coming of a different characters that you know, and Sora's crossing into important figures in his life. Kingdom Hearts had a way of cultivating an aura of mystery that is not only lost within its own franchise, but also lost in its commercial appeal. I am not a nostalgic person, but I do know how to appreciate when something is well done. I am not the kind to cultivate admiration for corporations, but there used to be a science behind the conception of product from beginning to end. Now there's not any really. The consumers have shown that they will sell for anything, so why put instances where there is a method that is more often than not used to purvey an endless barrage of propaganda, and here at GGX, we're not important enough or rich enough to not get dealt with. So I will keep words on this matter to a minimum. For now.
I got your wrist thingies, mate. But Heihachi, these are Soul Calibur fighters. They all got blades and sticks and such. Go in with just those. Your history, my son. What you need, Marishima-san, if I may.
The wait's over. Soul Calibur 2 puts the weapons back in your hands, featuring classic Soul Calibur fighters, new warriors, and over 10 modes of play. And exclusively on PlayStation 2, Tekken's Heihachi unleashes his rage.
All right, no blades for you then.
Soul Calibur 2, rated T for teen.